Alright, theory students, we're going to jump in and talk about diminished and augmented intervals. Diminished and augmented intervals are notes that are written in certain ways, but they will almost always have another sharp or a flat in it, and you'll have to figure out how that works. So, for example, right here, we have a G and an A sharp. So, looking over at the keyboard, here's a G, and A sharp is all the way up here. Now, when we look at the screen there, the distance between those two is a second. However, when we look at them on a keyboard, it seems like there's a big distance there. And so what happens is we count the number of half steps. We have 0, 1, 2, 3. There are 3 half steps. We come over to our handy dandy chart and we see 3 half steps. It's either going to be a major third or augmented second. Because this is written in terms of a second, okay, because the number is a 2, we have to write this one as augmented second. And that, in fact, is correct. Okay, moving on to the next one, we have an E and a G flat. So here's an E and here's a G flat. Again, looking at the keyboard, those are awfully close together, it seems. And yet on the screen, on the staff, they look pretty far apart. So let's count the number of half steps. We have a E and then we have 0, 1, 2. So there are 2 half steps. So we look here. 2 half steps means it's either a major second or a diminished third. This is written in terms of a third. Okay, the distance is 1, 2, 3. And so that means that this note is a diminished third. Okay, this one is an augmented second. We just went over that one. I'm looking for something else. Still diminished thirds, come on. Here we go. Here is an F and then an A sharp. So here's an F and an A sharp. Our number up there, if you counted, was a third. And the number of half steps is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Coming to our handy dandy chart, we have either a perfect fourth or an augmented third. But because this is a third, this is an augmented third. Notice that an augmented third is the same thing as a perfect fourth. Okay, so this is kind of getting into that advanced stuff. That's another augmented second. In part writing, like as people are writing choir music, they actually tell you to not write like augmented seconds because that's like the hardest interval to sing ever. So whenever I see one in choir, I always make sure and go over that several times. Let's look at this one real quick. We have an E and an F flat. Ooh, something fun is happening here. We have an E and then an F flat. So that's actually the exact same note. So it would be unison. However, it is written as a second. And so that's where we come over here. There are 0 half steps between those. And so since it's not written as unison as the same note, it's actually going to be a diminished second because it's written in terms of a second. So there we go. A diminished second is the exact same thing as a unison. All right. So feel free to go back up here and add in the diminished thirds, or like, yeah, those diminished and augmenteds, and you can keep going all the way up. I will trust you guys to use this chart because once we get into major sevenths, augmented sevenths, and that kind of stuff, you're still just going to use this chart here to figure out what those are. So yeah, that's kind of the last level of advanced there. So take some time and figure out all that stuff and add as much as you want. Please let me know if there are any questions. If you want to do an individual chat where I can share your screen, you can ask some questions. Go ahead and let me know. I'm very willing to hop in. If you guys are motivated to learn, I'm motivated to teach. That's kind of how I'm discovering things are going. So feel free to reach out, and I'll see you next time.